Are you wondering if you should be moving to Tulsa, Oklahoma in 2025? On this video, I am going to show you what to expect for the upcoming year in the housing market. We're going to go over not just headlines that are meant to scare and terrify, but we're going to go over actual data and see what's happening because the market is changing and there are a lot of changes that are going to affect you. So if you're thinking about making that move to Tulsa, Oklahoma, or one of our top suburbs like Bixby or Broken Arrow or Jenks, then you're going to want to watch this video because Tulsa and the surrounding suburbs are very unique and different, and you're going to want to see all that. I'm going to take you through what to expect if you're moving here in 2025. Our channel and you want to know everything that there is to know about living in Tulsa, Oklahoma or any of the surrounding suburbs, then hit that little bell notification and subscribe. That way you can be the first to know what's going on in our local Tulsa area real estate market. I'm Sabrina Shaw. My team and I make these videos for you so that if you're thinking about making that move to Tulsa, Oklahoma, then you'll reach out to us. And it doesn't matter if you're moving in 9 days, 90 days, 9 months. It's never too early and it's never too late to give us a call. All right, let's jump on the computer and check out some data. I keep hearing over and over again that the market's going to crash in 2025. Bill McBride with Calculated Risk, he's an analyst for housing, and he says, with recent price increases, some people are worried about a new housing bubble, but mortgage debt isn't concerned and lending standards are much better now than during the bubble. So I keep seeing headlines that mortgage debt has quadrupled and tripled and is at all-time highs. You can use the truth in something when you're dealing with data, when you're dealing with statistics. You can make something out of something that it's not, and that's what's crazy about numbers and about data. So I want to show you because it's so interesting. When I first heard that headline, I really thought to myself, what's going on here? Because you keep hearing that the housing market isn't healthy. Of course you're concerned, and of course prices are high. We're dealing with inflation and it's not as affordable as it was back in 2020, back in 2021. I mean, things have changed drastically. But again, let's put things in perspective. So in this video, we're going to go through what's going on nationally. Then I'm going to drill down to Tulsa, and I'm going to show you how a main metro like Tulsa, Oklahoma is different than suburbs. So my goal is purely to give you factual information for you to make your own decisions on what to do and where housing is. And I'm always there to guide you. My business partner, Kathy, is always there to guide you. She is a phenomenal negotiator, which I'll get into later. Just back to what the video is going to be about. So consumer debt's at record levels. This goes back to 03 Q1. You can see consumer debt and mortgages in yellow. So it is the biggest amount of student debt. You've got credit cards are blue, and then auto loans and HELOCs. Okay, so pretty small. So when you see this, and when you see like this higher mortgage amount, this is in 2007, 2008, 2009, and it goes down a little bit. Then we get up to 2020 and it starts going up to where we're now at. This is Q3 of 2024. We're actually in Q4. The data lags behind. And so this is the most recent data for that. So it is high. It is at record levels. But let's take a closer look at that. And this is just showing mortgage debt in the trillions. This is going back to 2000. Mortgage debt was at 5 trillion. And then now this is Q1 of 2024. It's at 13 trillion. Over doubled, not quite tripled. And that's from 2000. But now you put the home equity piece in it. And that is because you've got to look at the full picture of things. And because prices have increased, so has home equity. Now when we look at this, it's telling an entirely different story when we add in another data point. So total homeowner equity back in 2000, mortgage was high, equity was a little bit higher, and you could see that trend up until 2007. And then 2007 is right before we started dealing with the housing crisis. And as you see this, mortgage debt was high, but what happened was home equity was lower. And that is when we had the wave of foreclosures. That is when we had hit the fan. And you can see that. That makes sense when you're looking at it this way. Well, then it pretty much stagnated as far as mortgage debt goes, and we started getting that equity back. We started getting into a healthier economy. And then we had 2020 and home equity really rose. We've seen 2022, 2023, 2024 not rising as much, but not going down like experts are projecting. And I think my biggest pet peeves is people wanting to do clickbait or mislead just for the point of views, or it's easier to scare people with numbers than it is to just give the truth. And so is it a good time to move for everybody? No. If you have a fantastic interest rate and you have the house where you want it, the size that you want, and you're comfortable, like, why would you move? Unless there's a life change, you're probably going to stay put, and that's probably a very good idea. But that doesn't mean that it's wrong for everyone to move, because it is the right decision for some people. If you're paying rent, you're paying like 100% interest. You're not getting any tax benefits. And again, renting is right for some people, but it is a specific situation. So I just want to be sure that when you are buying a house, that it is right for some people. And I just want to give you the information. So back to equity. So yes, mortgages are higher. This is Q1 2024, and it was at an all-time high. Also at an all-time high in equity. So you definitely have that cushion. I'll talk about this more in the next slides. I just want to show you that. So when you hear those, when you're at Christmas dinner or at a New Year's celebration and you're with family and people are talking about the housing market and they say, oh my gosh, we're in so much trouble, like debt is through the window. Let's put it in perspective. Equity growth has begun to moderate along with home prices, which is fantastic. We're seeing a more normalized market, and that's what we want to see, but we still have the largest volume of equity on record. The average homeowner now has $319,000 of equity. Now, if you live in Tulsa, it's probably going to be less because our home prices haven't skyrocketed. They've definitely increased. We've seen that. We kind of caught up on appreciation because in 2007, 2008, 2009, we didn't really experience it that much as the rest of the country. So our prices remain lower and more affordable. And we have seen a lot of appreciation, but Oklahoma, Tulsa is still a very affordable city and state, and in the top 100 most affordable metros and one of the top 10 states for affordability. So I want to go through this part. So the average homeowner now has $319,000 of equity in their home, of which $207,000 could be borrowed against while still maintaining a 20% equity cushion. So if you refinance that home, you have to have the 20% equity. So if a homeowner is in trouble, that equity could be used to open a business, or if you had to sell your home because you can afford living expenses how it is, you have the equity to be able to do that. And again, I will talk about that more. So for a homeowner in the early stage of foreclosure, that equity helps either by leveraging the equity to pay down the past due mortgage or sell the property, so it doesn't have to go to the auctioneer. And we saw very little of that in 2020, 2021, but we're starting to see headlines like foreclosures are rising. And again, I'm going to show you that data too and put it in perspective. But there is, unless you bought in 2022, 2023, 2024, there's a chance that you could be a little bit upside down, but not too much like 2007, 2008. Prior to that, you have the equity. So if there's something going on and you can't afford your payment, reach out to a real estate agent. Don't let it go to auction. Don't put your head in the sand. Put it up for sale and at least get some money in your pocket, like sell the house. And if you have to sell it fast because days on market are increasing, if you have to sell it fast, you could put it at a price that would move it, but that would be better than going to the auction, going to foreclosure, and then you could get money in your pocket. And there are creative ways to do things too, all legal, all above board, but there are options. You should not have to go to foreclosure for the most part. I love this next slide. Serious mortgage delinquency rates remain low. Percent of mortgage balance 90 plus days delinquent through Q3 2024. This is back to 2003, Q1, all the way to Q3 2024. This is 2009 when we were seeing crazy delinquencies, percent of mortgage balances. So 9%, 8% in 2008. The peak was 2009 at 9%. Now we go down and they've gone down and gone down and gone down, tick back up a little bit, but things have changed. But if you still look at that, and when people say you could use the data here, and I don't have the precise numbers, I know that it's under 1% at 90 days plus delinquency rates, guys. Back in 2019, people were investors looking, and investors are helpful and are important. But back in 2019, the home flipping shows were super popular and people were trying to buy foreclosures, trying to get a great deal. It was still hard. It's doable, but it's hard. We're under that now in 2023. So the delinquency rates are actually low. So even though they're increasing, like they're increasing by 50%, but you can make it sound pretty scary. But when you look at it, you're like, it's pretty low. So let's talk about this because this is true. In October of 2024, the U.S. housing market experienced a slight uptick in foreclosure activity with 30,784 properties filing for foreclosure, marking a 4% increase from the previous month. But then look at this. This is what they don't tell you in those headlines, but an 11% decrease year over year. This nuanced trend shows foreclosure levels remain relatively low despite monthly rises. So yes, we had an increase. We're going to see increases, but again, putting that in perspective, and we're going to see more graphs where you see that ATTOM gave us that information. So you've got to think of the whole picture. Now we're looking at the US foreclosure activity, and it decreases in Q3 2024. And so let's look at this. This is the number of foreclosures. So again, our peak is in 2009. We're right at under 600,000. And then it peaks and it goes down and goes down and goes down. And like during all this time, guys, there was a surplus of inventory too. So we also had builders not building as much. So during this time, not only were we dealing with foreclosures and the equity and all this, but builders weren't building, which is why we have the undersupply that we have now. It keeps going down. Foreclosure rates keep going down. And again, like I was talking about 2019, it was a great spot. It was hard to get a deal. We're under 100,000 here. Then we hit 2020, and thankfully they did have that foreclosure moratorium. Policymakers and people learned from what happened in 2008 and 2009. Not only did they learn, but lending standards also tightened. I always make the joke, if you're applying for a mortgage, get ready to give your firstborn kid like you're in mortgage jail. They want everything. You are thoroughly vetted to be a buyer. Back in these days, they were giving stated income loans. Anybody could walk in and probably get a loan. After the moratorium, of course, they went up, and you can see almost double, could even be triple. The headlines for that can be crazy. So when you hear something and you hear people on the news and talk about that, it sounds like, oh, we're in trouble. We're in big trouble. But look, then it's going down on its own with how things are working is actually going down. Again, we saw that 4% increase, but as a whole, we are in a healthy place for foreclosures. Now, expired listings, we are going to see a lot more of that. The most expired listings you're ever going to see is the last day of 2024. December 31st, you always have the most number of expireds because people have set the listings to expire at year's end a lot of times. So 2023 was a lot, and experts are projecting that 2024 we're going to see a lot more. So there's a lot of expired listings, and reasons for that is, to sum it up, and I don't want to sound callous because I'm not being callous, but sellers still think it's 2020, 2021, and then you've got buyers coming in thinking it's like 2009, which are both couldn't be further from the truth. We are actually in a healthy 2019 market, which, you know, if you stay until the end, I'm going to show you. 2019 was a fantastic, great market. If you watch any of my market updates, and I know they only matter for a little bit, but I show you that to compare how we are now to a very healthy market, which was 2019. So I will show you that. But we are going to see a lot of expired listings. And as a seller, if you're selling, there are so many factors to take into consideration. I would never throw up anything. Like, I would always still get a house ready. But I mean, you knew you were going to have multiple offer situations, and you could just you'd stay in comps, but you could name your price and it would go up. And it just doesn't do that anymore. You've got to go by the comps. Pricing is so important. And there is a huge difference from like a home appraisal, a Zillow's estimate. There is just a massive difference. And I can't tell you how important pricing is in marketing your home now, because our inventory is healthy, but it's more than we've seen in a while. And so there is competition. And if you're an existing homeowner, you're in competition with new construction. So marketing is key. Getting your home show ready is key. Take the time to do that. You know, I don't know where you're watching from, but if it would help you, I have something that I give my sellers to help them get their home market ready. I would be glad to share that if you reach out. Okay, days on market has risen since 2021. This is median days. Median, remember, is like the middle number. So you have your lowest and your highest, and your median goes right there in the middle. I like looking at average better. But again, median and average is just a manipulation of numbers and only gives us a little bit. But we are seeing that that has gone up. So in 2021, it was 43 days on market, which this is just crazy to me, because when you were looking at most of the things, it was way lower. This seems really high. This is realtor.com. But when you're looking nationwide and everything together, these were the numbers. So definitely we have seen days on market go up. Inventory has risen since 2021. And look, I mean, we're close to doubling. 2021, 565,700 houses. 2024, 953,000. So we have slowly increased inventory. And a lot of that is new construction too. There's definitely a mortgage lock-in for people that have those great mortgage rates and perfectly happy in their house and have no reason to move. It's going to be hard for someone to go get a 6.5%, 7% loan. Even though this is higher and we are seeing more, again, this is normalizing. This is more of a balanced market, which is what we want. Existing home sales are down, and they are down a lot. That's what the feds were trying to do. They're trying to slow the economy. Now, a lot of people thought it would crash housing, but that just never made sense. If you were boots on the ground, you knew because of the shortage that housing was never going to crash. Like, there's always going to be people that have to buy and sell. And with inventory, it just didn't make sense. But people projecting that are are economists. A lot of times they're super smart and have great knowledge, but they don't have the sense of being in practice. When I was in education and working on my doctorate, a lot of the stuff that an economist would do and say and the way they would get to things, there's just such a disconnect between like book smart and boots on the ground and in practice. So I regress to that, just saying, if you were in the market, you knew the market wasn't going to crash. But sales are down, and they're down a lot. And we've seen 2022, when those rates, they raised fast and they hit the brakes and sales slowed. In 2024, they hit lower than they have in 35 years, and definitely in 2021. So sales are down. We're creeping. We go down and up and down and up. Also, historically, the year after an election year is a higher number for house sales. So people kind of pause that last year, like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen with the election? I'm just going to wait and see. Then whoever wins, they just level out. And it's like, well, and then people buy or sell. They put off their plans due to the election. I do think that this cycle will be a little bit different. I think that we'll see more sales in 2025. I think that it's going to continue to go up. So I don't think 2025 is going to be like that high number. But again, there's other things connecting that. Okay, so looking ahead for 2025, like I said, I think that inventory is going to increase, or we know inventory is increasing. I think home sales are going to start increasing. I think the public has gotten used to the high rates, although we don't like them. I feel like things are stabilizing. Are we going to see mortgage rates go down? I'm going to talk about that in a second. We most likely will, but for anybody to expect them to get down to 2020, 2021 levels, that's just not going to happen. Rick Sharga says, I don't expect to see a meaningful increase in the supply of existing homes for sale until mortgage rates are back down in the low 5% range. So, another thing for buyers is, even though we are seeing more inventory, sorry, those are my girls. Can you see them? If you hear the pitter patter, that's the girls, and they're playing right now. Winner. Hi, buddy. Okay, so even though we've got more inventory and we're seeing more inventory, which is good, statistically, we're starting to get balanced. But a lot of that, again, is new construction. And to see a meaningful increase in supply where you have sellers letting go of those houses and wanting to be buyers again, we might see a lot of movement in the housing market. Like, we're always still going to see movement. Like I said, people are buying and selling every day. There's reasons to do it, and there's good reasons, and there's great reasons to not buy and sell and to stay if that works. But it's always just your own personal situation. So what do mortgage rates look like? 2024, we're at about 6.67, and we did have mortgage applications increase like a ton when we had that drop in interest rates for a little bit, and we saw that, and then interest rates kind of went up, and they're not dropping as much as some people thought. I don't even try to project interest rates anymore. I remember when they were going up, I was like, they're never going to be in the fives, and then it was just crazy. And after that, I'm like, I'm not doing it. And people have pretty much learned their lesson. But as far as 2025 looks, it looks like we're going to be in the sixes. We're going to see a little bit down. And honestly, here I say, I'm not projecting. I think they might get a little bit lower than 6.33%. And again, this is the average, Fannie Mae, MBA, Wells Fargo. This is what they're projecting interest rates to be in each quarter. Looks like we're going to see 25 in the mid sixes to the kind of low sixes. And again, this is where we just see that crazy, massively fast jump that just tried to stall the market. And I mean, sales definitely were affected. The public was affected. Affordability was crazy affected. Truly, that has been good for housing, because that runaway appreciation would have just made it almost, in a way, impossible. When you had lower interest rates, it was more affordable. So it's not an affordable amount. Now you don't get as much housing, but we're seeing more normal appreciation or slight appreciation. And the lower mortgage rates go, they are expected to boost the housing market. I mean, you have a ton of buyers on the sideline just waiting for rates to decline. Percent appreciation forecast for 2024. They used 16 projections of what 2025 was going to look like for home price appreciation. You have the highest at 5.5 AEI housing and Moody's Analytics at a negative 0.4. Like, that's not even a 1. The average of all those is 3%. So that is a great, healthy appreciation rate. That is normal appreciation. There is nothing wrong with that. But again, look, nobody calls for depreciation. So again, the housing market's going to crash. Like, I'm holding out. I'm going to wait 3 years and keep renting for the housing market to crash. A lot of times that doesn't make any sense. sense. It's just the housing market is pretty healthy. They're forecasting home sales to rise. Here we had 2021, 6.9 million sales in the United States. It lost about 1 million in 2022, another million in 2023, and then we had the low. 2024 was a 35-year low in home sales with 4.6 million homes for sale. Okay, so Aditya Kushi, he's the deputy chief economist at First American. And so looking ahead to 2025 for him, he thinks that single family home construction will really rise. And that's what a lot of experts are saying too, because of the scarcity of existing homes, because of that mortgage lock-in effect, people not wanting to get rid of their homes because they have that great affordability. And for builders, with the interest rates going down a little bit, it does help with that financing cost. Okay, that is our national market update. Now we're going to go local. We're going to dig in local. Okay, so diving into Tulsa's numbers. Now what I did is this is Tulsa County, and I took the average numbers because it is crazy how much data changes between our entire MLS, between our towns, which I'll show you, but I'm going to show you Tulsa County because Tulsa, Oklahoma is, in my opinion, one of the best places to live. And then we have our suburbs, which I actually live in a suburb of Tulsa, but our suburbs are amazing, which when I talk about Tulsa, I'm talking about Bixby, Oklahoma. I'm talking about Jenks. I'm talking about Broken Arrow. I'm talking about Owasso. So this is Tulsa County, and this is November 2024. So you've got to remember that data is always a month behind. So closed listings increased. This is from November of last year. So closed listings went up 8% from this time last year. Pending listings went up 12%. New listings went up 4%. Average list price went up 6% to $319,000. And I'll get up and I'll show you what can you get for $320,000 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. At the end, like I'm going to show you what an average sales price will be, which you can get a great house. I love our $500,000 to $600,000 range. I love the step between 6 to 7 when you get to from 7 to 800,000. It's fantastic. Our $1 million houses are fantastic. There's so much like in the different price ranges. Okay, so average percent of selling price to list price is 98%. So just down a little bit from this time last year. And like I always like to put this in perspective. You think of a $500,000 house. So this is really 1.5% difference. So you think about a $500,000 house, that's $7,500 difference. So when people are thinking like, I want $20,000 off, I want $30,000 off, possible. And my business partner, Kathy, which you guys have seen in the videos, she is a fantastic negotiator. I always say this, if there is a deal to be had, she is going to get it for you. She will get that house for the absolute best deal that it can be had for. So if there's a deal to be done, she's going to do it. So that's a fantastic resource to have behind you when you are buying. So not only do we have knowledge of the market, but having that negotiation skill, which not a lot of agents do truly. Okay, days on market has increased by 20%. So last year it was 31, this year it's 37. I'm going through these numbers and I don't want to bore you, so hang tight with me because I'm going to compare 2019 and that's where it gets interesting. I think I'm going to scroll down a little bit in a second, but like these numbers matter if you're looking at the health of the market. If you're thinking that you're holding out because of price decreases, if you're thinking, is it a good time to buy? Pay attention to this because I do believe that in this market and what we're going to see, houses will only continue to get more expensive. So I don't think waiting and trying to time the market would be a good thing. Now, statistically, winter months, you get a better deal. Your home prices on average, I think it's like 5% less than if you're shopping like at the peak months. So definitely as a home buyer, there are some great pros to buying in the winter. Okay, end of month inventory, we're up 26%. So seeing those numbers go back up. This is what I really want to talk about. So you saw November. It's so different. But I want to talk to year to date. This is where it matters. So year to date, we have 7,692 homes that have closed in Tulsa County, up 1% from last year. Remember at the beginning, I told you that 2019 was our last normal market before we had like the unicorn years. So 2019 was actually considered a fantastic market. So let's look at that. Look at this, guys. 2019, we had 9,564 homes on the market, which is up 2% from 2018. And if you look at their November numbers, 744. Okay, so let's go back here. We're still down. So that supply of inventory is still tight. So I want you to see that. In 649, we had 744 sales there. In 2019 is such a great market to talk about because it was a good market. No one had seen anything like 2020, 2021, 2022. 2019 was fantastic. When we talk about supply and demand, when we talk talk about the shortage because builders underbuilt for so long, these are the numbers showing you. Pending sales are up 1% from last year. So interestingly, like in Tulsa County, I told you that 2024 had the lowest number of sales in 35 years. So Tulsa County bucked that trend with a 1% increase from 2023. So new listings, 7,996. In November, 613. So let's look at 2019. 9,914. So there was a lot more pending listings. So again, you can see that the market slowed, but part of that is due to options in the lock-in. And then pending sales, 701. So yes, we're down on pending sales. New listings. 11,180. So we're up 10% on new listings, and that's a good thing. We want more choices. And 844 new listings in Tulsa County in November. Okay, 2019, 13,000. That's a lot. And do you see like inventory had started decreasing 7%? So I realized in 2019 that it was switching from a balanced market to a seller's market with what was new and what was going under contract. We were starting to see that lower inventory, and 823 new listings in 2019. We're up on new listings, so that is actually good. But again, let's not say, oh my goodness, we have so much inventory or so much inventory is coming to the market. Like that is a healthy rate of inventory. All right, average list price. This is just going to make you sick. But look at this, guys. Tulsa increased 6.86%. I think average depreciation, experts were projecting it to be 2 to 4%, not a lot. And then they raised their expectations at the end because we are still seeing prices increase due to supply and demand. So 6.86% appreciation was higher than projections. 333,000. 216,000 was the average price. This would break my heart, but back in 2019, people were like seeing that appreciation. And that was only 2.26 appreciation. So really you started seeing that like 1920, but prices were getting higher and you started having multiple offers. I had people say, my son told me that I need to stay out of the market, that the market's getting ready to crash. Like we're going into a bubble. People were so scared. They lost out on the most affordable time in the history. I will tell you, I was a newer agent then, and I knew this because I love data. I would see this. I was like, no, we're not. But I didn't say my opinion enough. I mean, it's my opinion. I can't predict the future, but based on what I know, I'm going to tell you what I see as like a practitioner. And so, but it just broke my heart, the people that missed out. I have one couple that will never be able to afford what they could have got, and it's just sad. But a lot of people did listen and got a great house. And I'm not even going to digress into that about overpaying. Like if you went over asking, I had an agent tell me I would never tell my clients to go over asking because back in 2008, 2009, they overpaid and they lost money. But you can't do that. You have to give the facts. So what really happened is her clients lost out on the opportunity to buy at the most affordable time and to be able to have a payment that would be so affordable. And so when you're working with an agent, you do need somebody who understands the market. Okay, back to numbers. Average percent of selling price to list price, we're at 98% right now. What was it in 2019? 97%. So we're still at a higher percent of sales price to list price than in 2019. And then monthly inventory. Okay, so right now we're up 26% from year to date. So 2,183. Last year, this time it was 1,729. So we are up on inventory, which is a good thing. Again, having more choices. And monthly inventory was down 25% in 2019 at 2,232. So that means we are almost the same. So that market, what does this look like to me? It looks like a very healthy market. Are we going to continue to see more? I think we will, but not a ton. So the higher this number goes, the more balanced it gets. It's weird because even though like our month supply of inventory, just showing you this, a 3-month supply of inventory is typically a seller's market. See what it was in 2019, 2.62, definitely a seller's market. So even though the numbers are similar because of interest rates, affordability has changed. So that has pushed buyers out of the market. So there's still buyers to make it to where there's 3-month supply of inventory, meaning like if nothing new came on the market and you had all the buyers out shopping, it would take 3 months to deplete the inventory if nothing new came on the market, which has generally been considered a seller's market. However, it has felt more like a buyer's market. Like if this would have been going on in 2019, you wouldn't have got the concession concessions that you're seeing today, because we do still see seller concessions going down on price or definitely being open to repairs and all those things. Okay, that is showing you the market, giving you a very good perspective on taking away the unicorn years, what a good market is and what a healthy market is. And we are in a healthy market right now. So I told you I'd show you the average sales price is $325,000. So I'm going to do Tulsa County and I'm going to show you what you can buy for $325,000. Bixby is one of the top suburbs in Tulsa, Oklahoma, one of the top school districts, according to niche.com. This is a $325,000 house in Bixby, Oklahoma. Nice. Smaller yard. This has been on the market 82 days. When you go, Bixby has higher days on market. Let's look at something in Broken Arrow. This is a new construction, $327,000, 2,031 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Thing about new construction is your entrance is going to be lower. Your utilities are going to be lower. Let's go to Glenpool, Pecan Estates. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,883 square feet, $326,000, 8 days on market, 3-car garage, hardwoods, carpet. I go through these fast, but I'm just trying to give you like a general idea. Wasso, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 0.18 acres, 1,818 square feet, built in 2021, $325,000. Cute little house. Wasso is a top suburb. Broken Arrow is a top suburb. And the thing about Tulsa is the suburbs, we have some of the top ranked schools in Oklahoma are in the Tulsa area. You've got Bixby, Broken Arrow, Jenks, Wasso. Did we not have one in Jenks for that price? Jenks is going to be one of your higher priced suburbs. Bixby is too. Okay, Tulsa. I'm going to go and do one more thing for you guys because I told you that I would. I'm still giving you a very broad overview, but let me just give you the statistics. So look at that. Tulsa has had 9.7% increase in sales price compared to Jenks at 0.4%, which is flat appreciation. So homes in Jenks are not depreciating. You just got flat appreciation in Bixby, 1.3%, Broken Arrow, 3.4%. But then also look at these average sales prices, guys. Jenks in Bixby is higher by a lot. Tulsa is $308,000, Jenks is $424, Bixby is $429, and Broken Arrow is $334. When you're shopping, Jenks and Bixby have your homes that have that higher sales price. Tulsa at $308,000 and Broken Arrow at $334. That is wrapping it up. Like I said, we can jump on a Zoom, talk about what you want, what interests you. There's so much, we have so many great suburbs. They are truly dependent on what you're looking for based on whether you have kids, what your kids are interested in, what matches. And there's just a lot of things to discover on moving to Tulsa, Oklahoma. But I've done a lot of videos that help you if you want to see what houses look like I've done price point videos, we do home tours, we do all kinds of things the reason being is because we want you to know about Tulsa. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please subscribe, please leave a comment, please leave a thumbs up. Again, I make these videos for you so that if you're thinking about making that move to Tulsa, Oklahoma, you'll reach out to me, you'll talk to me, you'll talk to my business partner, Kathy, you'll talk to somebody on our team, and we would love to help you make that seamless move to Tulsa, Oklahoma and show you around town.